Good morning, ladies. Happy Wednesday. I hope this message finds you well. It's cold. I'm not going to complain. It's Florida. The high for us is going to be 50 compared to the negatives other people are going to be experiencing. So I'm not going to complain. However, the cold weather did allow me to feel extra cozy this morning. So I got to sleep in, especially since I'm working from home. I have a customer business trip I have to go to tomorrow in Miami. So it was nice to not have to drive an hour away to go to the office and stuff. So we're going to do the thing here today. However, before I hop on and get my day going, we are going to do Bible in a year. We are on Genesis chapter 31 through 33 today. Handy dandy Bibles out, ladies. If not, I encourage you to read them on your own if I went too fast. But hopefully the word resonates and it starts your journey to dig in deeper, because let me tell you, had I just been a little bit more steward and just a little bit more, grounded in terms of figuring out all the good stuff that's happening in here, that's happening out here, and just how to maneuver through things, I would have definitely listened a lot sooner. However, Genesis chapter 31 verse 1 goes like this today. Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired all his wealth. Verse 2, and Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not a favorable toward him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your family, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not favorable towards me as before, but the God of my father has been with me. Verse 6, and you know that with all my might I have served your father, yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not allow him to hurt me. Verse 8, if he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said thus, that the streaked shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. Verse 10, and it happened at this time, when the flocks conceived, that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray-spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, here I am. In verse 12, and he said, lift your eyes now and see, all the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray-spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you are anointed the pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family. Verse 14, then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, is there still any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For he has sold us, and also completely consumed our money. Verse 16, for all these riches which God has taken from our father are really ours, and our children's. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do it. Verse 17, Then Jacob arose and set his sons and wives on camels. Verse 18, and he carried away all his livestock and all his possessions which he had gained. He acquired livestock which he had gained in Paddan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. Verse 20, and Jacob stole away, unknown to Laban the Syrian, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. Verse 21, so he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed toward the mountains of Gilead. Verse 22, and Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But God had come to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, be careful that you speak to Jacob, neighbor, neither good nor bad. Be careful that you speak to Jacob, neither good nor bad. Now verse 25, so Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, what have you done that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal away from me and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs, with timbrel and harp. Verse 28, and you did not allow me to kiss my sons and daughters. Now you have done foolishly in so doing. Verse 29, it is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. And now you have surely gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Verse 31, then Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let them live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Verse 33, and Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the maids' tents, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols, put them in the camel's saddle, and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. Verse 35, and she said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of woman is with me. And he searched, but did not find the household idols. Verse 36, and Jacob was angry and rebuked Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that you have so hotly pursued me? Verse 37, although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, and they may judge between us both. Verse 38, these 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. And verse 40, there I was in the day that the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your home house 20 years. I served you 14 for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. Verse 42, unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. Verse 43. So now we're going to be talking about Laban's covenant with Jacob. 43, verse 43. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters, or to their children whom they have borne? Now therefore come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be witness between you and me. Verse 45, so Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate on their heap. Verse 47, Laban called it Jagar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, in verse 48, this heap is a witness between you and me this day. Therefore its name was called Galeed. Verse 49, also Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. Verse 50, if you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Verse 51, then Laban said to Jacob, here is the heap, and here is this pillar, which I have placed between you and me. This is a heap as a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you will not pass beyond this heap and this pillar to me for harm. That verse 53, the God of Abraham, the God of Nohar, and the God of their father judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning Laban arose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. We are in chapter 32, where Esau comes to meet Jacob in this chapter. Genesis chapter 32, verse 1 goes like this. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim, also known as double camp. It is a reference between Jacob's own caravan and the company of God. Mahanaim. Verse 3, then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, speak thus to my lord Esau, thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find favor in your sight. Verse 6, then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, where we came to your brother Esau, and he is also coming to meet you, and 400 men are with them. Verse 7, so Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him and the flocks and herds and camels into 2 companies. And he said, if Esau comes to the one company and attacks it, then the other company which is left will escape. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you. Verse 10, I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and all of the truth which you have shown your servant, for I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become 2 companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me and the mother with my children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. Verse 13, so he lodged there that same night, and took what came to his hand as a present for Esau his brother, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. Then he delivered them to the hand of his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, pass over before me, and put some distance between successive droves. Verse 17, and he commanded the first one, saying, when Esau my brothers meets you and asks you, saying, to whom do you belong, and where are you going? Whose are these in front of you? Verse 18, then you shall say, there are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau, and behold, he also is behind us. So he commanded the second, the third, and all who followed the drove, saying, in this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. Verse 20, and also say, behold, your servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. 21, so the present went on before him, but himself lodged the night in the camp. Verse 22, and he arose that night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them, verse 23, and sent them over the brook, and sent over what he had. Then Jacob was alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now verse 25, now when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Verse 27, so he said to him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. Verse 28, and he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked, saying, tell me your name, I pray. And he said, why is it that you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. Verse 30, so Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Verse 31, just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him, and he limped on his hip. Therefore to this day the children of Israel do not eat the muscle that shrank, which is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip in the muscle that shrank. And lastly, chapter 33, Jacob and Esau finally meet. Genesis chapter 33, verse 1 goes like this. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their 4 children and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. Verse 3, then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Verse 4, but Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the woman and children and said, who are these with you? So he said, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. Verse 6, then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. Afterward, Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Verse 8, then Esau said, what do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, these are to find favor in the sight of my Lord. Verse 9, but Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, no, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face as though I had seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Verse 11, please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. So he urged him, and he took it. Excuse me. Verse 12, then Esau said, let us take our journey, let us go, and I will go before you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock will die. Verse 14, please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace with which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure until I come to my Lord in Seir. And Esau said, now let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, what need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. Verse 16, so Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And in verse 18, then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, which he came from Padam Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city. Verse 19, and he bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar there and called it El Elohe Israel. And that's all for today, ladies. That is chapters 31 through 33. Going strong. Yeah, it's definitely great brotherly and sisterly love, and well, there's brothers Esau and Jacob, but definitely a good outcome compared to how others have come out. I'm not gonna lie. I hope you ladies have an awesome day. I'm gonna hop on and get to going with the work stuff. If you want to discuss, please send me a message. I do hope you have a great day, and just stay blessed. Bye.